you so much again for joining me on this channel. As always, I'm very grateful for all your previous views, likes, subscriptions and shares. So about a year ago, we did a video about Easter. It looked at its origins. It involved burning foxes, chocolate, hares. And at the end, I mentioned about hot cross buns. And I said there's a whole story behind hot cross buns. And I thought, well, actually, why don't we just dedicate a whole video to hot cross buns? One of the reasons why I didn't include it in the video about Easter, which I'll include a link to at the end of this video, was because it's quite a long history and I realised I was running out of time. I try and keep these videos to about 10 minutes, which benefits everybody. Traditionally eaten on Good Friday by Christians, the hot cross bun has on top of it a cross made out of flour paste, and it can involve ingredients, normally currants, though there are lots of variations out there today, including rhubarb and custard and chocolate and caramel. A core ingredient though was spices. This was apparently to represent the spices that were used to embalm the body of Jesus after he was taken down from the cross. There are a ton of traditions involving the hot cross bun. One is that if you baked a batch on Good Friday and kept one aside, then apparently throughout the rest of the year, if a member of your family was poorly, you would give them a small piece of it and it would make them better and heal them. Hot cross bun has become, if you like, the superhero food of Easter, perhaps even more so than the Easter egg. Sorry, Easter Bunny. But how did it begin? We need to throw ourselves back in time to the ancient Egyptians. I didn't know this, but apparently bread and beer were very important as a sort of staple diet for the Egyptians, and they would greet each other with the expression bread and beer in the same way we might say hello to each other to champion good health and wealth. The Egyptian gods Isis and Osiris were associated with grain and bread was offered as a form of worship to the gods and goddesses. We know too that bread with a cross on the top was made as an offering to the gods. And what's interesting is that those four sections of the cross could perhaps represent the phases of the moon or the four seasons. As well as giving us health, sanitation and of course roads, the Romans were also involved in the bun business with crosses on top. This is some bread retrieved from Herculaneum. This place was destroyed by Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. Just half a century or so after Jesus was crucified. Now, of course, it's difficult to say whether actually there are any Christian connections with this bread. Some claim that there were Christians in that part of the world at that time. However, it's probably more likely, of course, that the bread just had crosses on top to make it easier to divide up. But what it does show, and is important, is the significance of bread. Certainly, it would have been perhaps a form of commemorative act. And actually, it's also worth bearing in mind is that the Romans actually formed a baker's guild to make sure that bread was up to a right standard. Meanwhile, trudging back to England, we have the snacking Saxons. And by the way, I did literally type into Google snacking Saxons and the hot cross buns came up. So clearly there's a connection according to the Google algorithm. Apparently during the festival of Uestra, the Saxons would have eaten buns, and perhaps the cross became to symbolise the intersection of this world and the next. So Saint Alban is an interesting character who plays a small part in the story of the hot cross bun. He was a priest in the 3rd century. At that time, Christianity wasn't the most popular religion. Christians were persecuted, and he would help give shelter to Christians. He was found out by the Romans, and he was actually beheaded. It was on that site that St. Alban's Cathedral was built. This very tasty looking pile of buns are known as Alban buns, and they originated from St. Alban's Cathedral. In 1361, Brother Thomas Rowcliffe, who was a monk at St. Alban's Abbey, would apparently bake these buns and distribute them, give them to the poor on Good Friday. They don't, on the top of the bun, have the cross that is traditionally put on with flour paste, but they're cut into with a knife. And St. Albans argue that this is in fact the real precursor to the hot cross bun that we know and love today. It's also claimed that during the Middle Ages, bakers would mark their ordinary bread with the sign of the cross. That was to protect it and to give it a good bake. Also apparently your hot cross buns could be hung from the ceiling to ward off evil spirits. Elizabeth I, who was Queen of England in the late 1500s, also got in on the act. Historical records suggest that she banned the sale of hot cross bun and spiced breads, with the exception on Christmas and on Good Friday. If you were found in possession of such buns, they could actually be confiscated. There's still some discussion as to why Queen Elizabeth did this. Probably most likely is that she felt that this food was so special that to have it every day of the week, well, stopped it from being special, and that's why it was restricted to those Christian festivals of Christmas and Good Friday. It wasn't just the poor who were interested in hot cross buns and consuming them. The famous diarist Samuel Pepys from the 1600s is recorded writing down he enjoyed a Lenten supper of buns and large quantities of ale. So that's quite a boozy lunch, isn't it, really? I saw a lot of images of hot cross buns, but I think this is my favourite. This is from a Victorian cookbook published in 1901, just at the end of the reign of Queen Victoria. And it shows you some hot cross buns that were baked, and they look like, well, it's got to look like jacket potatoes, don't they, at the top? But you can see they are on that dish, and what's really struck me is, well, just how ornate they look. A whole host of other rituals and superstitions and myths built up around the hot cross bun. Sailors apparently could take one on a ship to prevent it from being shipwrecked. You could hang one in your kitchen for good luck. And of course, sharing one with a friend would make sure that your friendship would endure forevermore. The hot cross bun in the UK is hugely popular. There were record sales last year. And this year, Tesco, other supermarkets are available, are actually opening up a pop-up hot cross bun cafe. On the menu includes a hot cross bun ice cream sandwich, which is a hot cross bun with a lump of ice cream in the middle. It looks very tasty, but it does what it says on the tin, I guess. And I'm not entirely sure what Queen Elizabeth I would make of these, but they are hot cross bun cocktails. That was kind of fun looking at history of the hot cross bun. I didn't realise it was such a complex one, but it took us to all sorts of places and we met all sorts of interesting characters. In the world of education, there's a little holiday coming up, so as always, I will have a break from posting on this channel for a little while. I am hoping to try and tidy it up a little bit. It's got a bit messy, and I will of course be checking out any comments, and if you want any ideas for some future videos, then please do that. At this time of year, there are so many festivals. There's Easter, there's Ramadan, and there's Passover. However you're going to spend this spring, I do wish you well, and I do hope that it is good to you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you very soon, and as always, enjoy your learning.